Welcome to Storytime with Herbal Roots zine. I'm Kristine Brown, and today I'm going to read to you a story that I wrote from my magazine Herbal Roots zine from issue number 38, Caught on Cleavers. You might recognize cleavers. If you've ever walked through or by a patch of it, chances are you walked away with some of it clinging to your clothes. The first thing you'll notice when you touch cleavers is that he is scratchy and he clings to everything, even your skin. This is because cleavers is covered with tiny hooked hairs that grab onto everything, which has earned him some funny common names such as Sticky Willy. This entire plant is covered with these fine hairs. But don't let this scare you away from cleavers. Though he cleaves to everything, he's not scratchy or stingy at all. This plant has an affinity for the lymphatic and the nervous systems, as well as the urinary system. Cleavers is probably best known for his lymphatic system support. Cleavers helps with swollen lymph nodes, both acute and chronic, especially those found on the back of the head, on the neck, and under the chin and around the ears, as well as cysts, especially when there are multiple ones. Other lymphatic issues, such as tonsillitis, earaches, adenoid issues, and nodular growths, are often resolved with the help of cleavers. Cleavers has also assisted in shrinking fibroid tumors as well. Cleavers has a cleansing effect on the urinary system and the liver, which in turn can help to reduce psoriasis, eczema, and other liver-related skin problems. In addition, Cleavers helps with all things urinary related, including cystitis, irritable bladder, prostatitis, urinary tract infections, and kidney inflammation. Cleavers also helps to support the nervous system and can be helpful for those who are irritated by the little things. If you know someone who frets over every little detail in life, cleavers may be the herb for them. And that's just a few of many things that cleavers can be used for. So today's story is The Clinging Cure. Back in the early times, humans did not have books on what herbs to use for their ailments. The healers and people had to learn the uses for the plants around them by themselves. They used several methods for doing so. One method was to watch the animals eat plants for illnesses they had. Another method was to study the plants and see what parts of the body it mimicked. For example, lungwort, which has the scientific name Pulmonaria officinalis, was named after a lung because his spotted leaves resembled diseased lungs. This is known as the doctrine of signatures. A third method was for the healers to taste the plants and use the herb based on their body's reaction to the plant. For instance, when they tasted the root of echinacea, their mouth would numb, indicating it was a good plant for healing toothaches. Still another method was for the healer to meditate and pray to their spiritual guide for help with finding a plant for healing a particular illness. This story is about a healer doing this very thing. The healer lived in a village and was old and wise. He had walked the path of the healer for many circles of the sun, having begun his training when he was a child. He had seen almost every illness imaginable and had known or learned the herbs to use in every instance. So, on the day a woman from the village came to him, he was shocked to see something he had never seen before. The woman had a lump on her neck and her eyes looked fearful. She told the healer how the lump had come in the night while she slept and she was fearful of it. Having never seen this before, he made the woman a tea of common herbs containing rosemary and thyme and wood betony. She drank the tea and returned to him the next day, the lump still on her neck. For several days he tried every herb he had available, but nothing was working. Finally, He decided to call on his spirit guides to lead him to a new herb that would help heal this woman. He made his way to the cave in the mountains where the spirit guides lived. He stayed up through the night chanting and praying, giving offerings of tobacco and dried herbs. All through the next day he asked for guidance. The next night he fell into a fitful sleep. He began to dream, and in his dream he walked to the cave in the mountains to seek his spiritual guides as he had done the night before. At the mouth of the cave he kneeled down and gave his offerings of tobacco and some dried meat. The spirit guides gave their blessings to him and suggested he should walk home through the fields instead of the forest, and by the time he reached his hut, he would have collected enough of the plant he needed to heal the woman. The healer was puzzled by this suggestion, since they had not told him which plant he should seek. But knowing the spirit guides would not mislead him, he did as they told him, and walked back to the village through the field instead of the forest. By the time he arrived back at the village, his pants were covered with strange, clinging plants he had never seen before. He pulled them off, made some of it into a tea, and mashed the rest. The woman drank the tea and placed the mashed herb on her lump, and the next day it was gone. The healer woke from his dreams and immediately set off for the field. As he arrived back to his hut, his laughter filled the air, for on his pant legs were the very plants he had dreamed up. He immediately set off to the woman's hut to give her the good news and the new herb. I hope you enjoyed today's story. If you'd like to learn more about Cleavers, you can find the Cleavers ebook in my shop. I'll put the link in the description below. It's also a part of my year-long course called The Next Step, which features 13 herbs over the course of a year. It's a fun way to learn about the medicinal uses of herbs. Thanks for visiting Herbal Roots Zine for Storytime, and I'll see you next time.